People often ask me where I came up with the name Jose Monkey, and I usually respond to say that I'll tell you guys that story one day. Well guys, today's the day. To tell you this story, I need to take you all the way back to when my wife and I first started dating. By the way, if you don't like hearing silly stories about the cute/cringe things that young couples do, you might just want to skip this one. Anyway, there's this quote by Dr. Seuss that I really like. It goes like this: "We are all a little weird, and life's a little weird. And when we find someone whose weirdness is compatible with ours, we join up with them and fall in mutual weirdness and call it love." My wife and I have been celebrating our mutual weirdness together for many years. Back when we first started dating, we did a lot of the silly things that young couples do, and one of the silly things we did was this. Whenever I would ask my wife a yes or no question, she would never answer with a simple yes or no answer. She would always say, "Yes sirree Bob," if the answer was yes, and "No way Jose," if the answer was no. And after a while, we both started saying those phrases to each other all the time. It was just a silly thing we did. But then something happened. As is the case with jokes between couples and friends, it started to evolve. Before too long, my wife and I were referring to each other as either Bob or Jose in many situations, not just in response to yes or no questions. So I'd be like, "Hey, Jose, you hungry?" Or, "What do you want to do for dinner, Bob?" It got to the point where we were just calling each other Bob or Jose all the time. In fact, to this day, we still do it. And for whatever reason, the name Bob kind of stuck, and my wife and I refer to each other as Bob all the time. In fact, I almost never call my wife by her real name. I call her Bob. Did I mention that we're weird? Anyway, I'll come back to the names in a second. Let's talk about the whole monkey thing. Now, this part isn't that deep, you guys. I just like monkeys. I like apes. I just like primates in general. And my wife, knowing this about me, will sometimes refer to me as a monkey. She'll be like, "You silly monkey," or something like that. Okay, so how does this connect to the thing about the names? Well, as you can imagine, when you have a situation where two people are referring to each other by the same name all the time, sometimes it can get a little confusing. So we'd occasionally find ourselves saying very ridiculous things like, "Do you mean you Bob or me Bob?" Or, "Do you mean me Jose or you Jose?" And at one point, my wife responded to such a question saying, "I mean Jose the monkey. Me." And honestly, I kind of like the sound of that. It wasn't long after that when I needed to create a username for myself on something. I don't remember if it was a video game or a website or whatever it was, but I chose the name Jose Monkey. And it just kind of stuck. Jose Monkey is just this name that I've been using for myself for many years. Anyway, that's my story, guys. That's how I got my name. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope it satisfies your curiosity. Let me know if you want to hear any more stories like this.